Good evening, everyone, to our eighth edition of this knowledge series that we host at Pascare. What a year the year has already started with. I think all the optimism with which we actually conducted the webinar of the very first week of this particular year, uh, it seems to have actually taken a much different shade than it did. In fact, we even reached out to a couple of the earlier panelists who actually told that there should be a massive turnaround in the 2023 first quarter and going into the second quarter. What everyone says is they did not factor in the humongous backdrop of the global ongoing financial crisis. As we speak today, the it is being told that the total number of layoffs that have happened just in the tech market is close to 18 million. And I'm talking about that number in, of course, a global context, especially from the point of view of global players who have employment of employees, both in the US market and the Indian market context. We have isolated that number from the European story. So considering this is the backdrop, I think most organizations will now, that their focus largely seems to be, as it has been for the past 2 quarters, is on optimizing their talent pool. And I think we've already clearly established the idea that at any given point in time, there will always be, uh, you know, a market per se for great talent. So in this particular dynamic time that we're actually seeing so much of a focus, not just on employee benefits, but on retention practices, better practices for learning and development, higher initiatives and clarity when it workforce optimization and a whole lot of other things that are going on. I think I'm very proud and happy to have this much firepower in the room today. I'm very, very proud to welcome our panelists to actually engage in our conversation today. Aashish Punjabi, who is the Chief of Staff at Juno. Shantanu Karnik, Senior Manager of People Experience at AICL Communications. Abhinav Singh, Director People and Culture at Transform Hub. So good evening, everybody. And I'm very, very happy to have you on board for this conversation today.
Thanks, Bhaskar and Soumya, for having us here.
Perfect. So actually, let's get the main query out of the way. If we can kick it off in that direction. Is there really, in the entire situation that is actually happening right now, and with every single day, whether you're involved in the industry, not involved in the industry, the idea that employees are being let go seems to be at the top of newspapers. You open LinkedIn, it's usually the first article that comes through, and if you're a part of huge groups of your employees, especially with ex-employees or your previous office colleagues, you usually see things about this. Is there stress in our office environments, which is a direct byproduct of the current situation? I think it's a yes or no question, and I would like an answer from all three of my panelists on this.
Yeah. Ashish, I'll take it on. Yeah.
Sure. I'll go after you.
Yeah. So, I think, Soumya, yes, I think there is a certain element of stress which is there. I mean, last quarter, we have seen a trajectory where, I'm not saying it's completely a paradigm shift which has happened, but yes, we are going towards a phenomena where there is a certain amount of realization which has creeped in. Okay. And, that bubble, which was very, very evident in last couple of years has slowly, but in a subtle way, has started decreasing. So while that pattern is being is happening on a certain level, yes, the amount of uncertainty, the amount of I'll say a little bit of chaos amongst all the candidates is there, and the stress element is largely on the organization now, how you are able to mitigate that. So there are two aspects to it. One is obviously on the mindset change, where people are looking for more I'll say stability, are looking for more relationship oriented task. That's what I put it around. They're looking at more meaningful, purposeful assignments rather than going on for the plethora of benefits which was earlier before. So having said that, yes, that is one mindset. On the other side, obviously, a lot of us are still working in hybrid models or in work from home models, where we still sometimes occasionally see a lot of email overloads, a lot of meetings happening, I see a lot of colleagues reaching out to me in terms of setting unrealistic deadlines also sometimes, and obviously the ever emerging change of technology in the VUCA world. So that's another aspect where people tend to cope up with their stress level, but having the right balance between two is still largely the wellness or the empathy quotient is going to creep in this year, and vis-a-vis last year also. I'll say the two great words for me would be a lot of investments on the wellness charter and a lot of investment on the empathy charter if you talk about the behavioral aspect. Ashish, yeah.
Well, I
Perfect.
mean,
Thanks, Abhinav.
we
Thanks.
cannot talk about chaos without talking about crypto industry. I think last few years have been like a lot of ups and downs. We've seen a lot of layoffs. We've seen a lot of reduced compensations. We've seen so much loss of job security in the ecosystem, where companies who have IPO'd have laid off 20-30% of their employee strength. Company that was valued at $20 billion just wiped out, just disappeared in less than 48 hours. And I'm not talking about million, I'm talking about $1 billion. Company as huge as that just disappeared. So definitely takes a toll on everyone as an ecosystem, where especially everyone who's surviving in this ecosystem has a very different mindset altogether. And we come from the same background where we are building for a global market, sitting in India, have so much less context over how all the things are going down in the US. It takes a toll on everyone's mental health, as well as, again, the stress we're talking about is literally something that we've dealt with very, very recently. And then we did few things that helped us out come out of that particular zone. We made a lot of mistakes as well. I will not deny that as well. So there were certain things that we did, which was like, entire industries going down, and only thing that you can probably do is keep your employees really close, keep them informed, keep them, like keep that over communication loop on, because I think that has helped us massively. One of the reason I'm mentioning this is because this is just 1 or 2 months back when our crypto services were down because of one partner who was around, shutting the services down, and we were able to just come out of that zone by sharing our vulnerabilities, showing that visibly that yes, we are afraid. It's not a fairy tale thing, and I think people in this environment really appreciate things that are really real, right? In the long run, that helps you a lot in generating that trust that people want. We started HR Connects on a more deeper level, more organized approach, where we are taking feedback almost every 1.5 month or 2 months. You will see all the employees being covered, and this helped a lot because people really like venting, and this has drastically helped us in terms of putting that stress level down over the last few weeks. At the same time, I think there are very simple things that really go a long way, is that celebrating small wins and special occasions. We started this new thing in Juno, where we call Juno toddlers. Whenever someone completes a year or so, or 2 years or 3 years, they basically celebrate it together in a month during all ends. And same is the case with birthdays as well. So ensuring that, of course, there is stress not just in office but in just the entire ecosystem. There's a term for it, it's doom scrolling. So you keep going through all the negative news all the time, and all you have is everything in my world is crashing down, and small things like these genuinely help in building that trust sentiment and that stress level down. But again, it's like there's no right or wrong to it. I think a lot of people are trying multiple things, and I'm pretty sure there's no right or wrong here. This has worked for us, and yes, just to summing it up completely, yes, it is affecting. And again, we probably need to figure out multiple ways of ensuring that we keep the spirits high, we keep the energy high, regardless of what's going down in the ecosystem.
And Ashish, just to add to what you said, I always believe, and in my personal capacity, there are two mantras which has always helped me. I'll not say cut down the stress level to minimum, but also, but I've used those two mantras uh, as a tool to de-stress me. Now, the one mantra which I often follow is, respond and not react. And that always works for me, because whenever an email comes, Ashish, how jittery we become to react to it in next 15 seconds as its heavens are falling down. But I've learned, I mean, and all of us, and I keep passing those messages to a larger group, that it's okay. I mean, you can take your time, you can build on your points, you can assess the CCs and the BCCs, and then you can actually respond. I think the stress level is definitely going to be much controlled there. So that's one
Absolutely.
phenomena. Yeah, that's one phenomena I do practice a lot. And the second one, Ashish, where you touch the chord on the trust factor, I think very, very important. And the second mantra for me is connect and then correct. It's very powerful word. All of us have the habit of correcting upfrontly, whether it's a lag in a project deadline, or it's a lag somewhere, or something which has gone wrong. But I think if you have that connect factor going upfront, I think, and then you correct, it makes a lot of sense. And probably the acceptance level, or as you rightly said, the degree of accepting that feedback also increases. I've learned that over the year. So before even giving a feedback, or going in for a constructive performance conversation, which can be very stressful in these coming times, so I think it's important for all of us is to probably establish that connect chord, and then go on to the correction mechanism. I think these two powerful mantras, Ashish, I mean, these are from my personal experiences, have helped me immensely in cutting down the stress levels to a maximum intent. Yeah.
Thanks, Abhinav. I think there is, of course, from the point of view of what we do at Pascare, and what is happening with the community at large and the industry at large, it's very evident that there is a sense of panic. Most people, I think, are overdoing themselves at work. Also, we see that idea of if I don't stretch for 15, 16 years, or if my boss pings me at 11 in the night and I don't respond, I'm not going to have a job tomorrow morning. I think there is also a necessity to calm the sentiment down of the industry at large itself, because there will always be a market for good talent. I think one of my friends who runs a very established firm always says it best in his tagline: for the right talent, I'm always hiring. So if the talent is good, then who doesn't want a great resource? If I may say something, it's whether it's a source of wisdom or whatever. In my career, 20 years ago, an event like Wall Street melting happened right in front of my eyes. If there is something called large-scale pandemonium, I have actually seen it. I've seen Lehman Brothers closing down their office and employees leaving their office because they were working in the building next door. And I have that state of pandemonium, I hope, can never again come into the world and come into the market. Thankfully, it is. We've gone through COVID, we've gone through a recession, we've gone through working from home, we've gone through emerging companies. Of course, the number of companies that exist now are 100-fold larger in number than they were in 2007 and 2008. So the sense of, I think what, especially, I think I can probably take the liberty of saying this on such a forum, because I was a young person who was 24, 25 at that time, and actually seeing something like that changes something deep inside you. It creates a sense of insecurity too early in your life, because you have actually gone through the whole grind, landed yourself a great job, and then suddenly something of this sort happens. It alters something inside you. I think what happens with time is something which can only happen, and Ashish, I'll specifically say, because I'm talking about Juno, and crypto is the base station of younger human beings. And Shantanu and Abhinav very well know that we are employing people. There are people who at the dawn of the millennium, whom we have released offer letters to, who were not born.
Absolutely.
And I remember being an adult in the year 2000. So, it changes context. But I think largely what everybody also needs to understand is it'll all calm down. Just because there is a short-term 2, 3, 6 month, youth does not have foresight, right? So that's the problem. I think in hindsight, really, what, that just happened for 6 months. It all calmed down after that. They did not, and weirdly enough, they also don't realize that the rally was so high. So in finance, we have a term of, bounce back, because the rally, during the COVID time, there are HRs who have complained on this very forum. So in past webinars, they have told, where is the logic of somebody with 2 years work experience being offered 3 times salary? I cannot offer 28 lakh CTC to somebody who has 2 years experience, who was working with TCS for 4 lakh rupees 1 year ago. It does not work that way. But the problem is, this is exactly like, sorry, I hope I don't get sued for this, like the Adani stock. Like everybody did speculation and just chant the punch share. So it is exactly hyper speculation. And with hyper speculation,
Correct.
exactly in finance markets, there is a period of bounce back. I hope my overly financial jargon did not take away
No,
from
no,
the
I
time,
think
You are
I
the
absolutely right.
maximum number of
I
HRs
think it's
attending
quite
this.
correct.
so I'll
Okay.
tell you one thing in crypto is this is not the first time we are looking at market downturn. This is like the fourth or fifth one in the history of crypto. Second one for me personally. So I think it's just another weather thing for us that keeps on coming after 2-3 years, and we just have to deal with it like how we can do it best.
Exactly. So now that we have set context about the amount of upheaval that is happening in the industry, Shantanu, I will come back to you, and I need a little bit of context. Considering the body of work you have done and the number of years of experience you have and the exposure you've had in developing employee benefits over the course of your career, the pandemic actually was a once in a lifetime event. And considering that, so much was done because our employees were at their houses, we wanted to figure out a way how to bind them to our corporates, still manage to make them work as a team in the context of nobody actually being physically in the same space. We actually threw a lot of benefits their way. Whether they were taken, not taken, adopted, not adopted, companies did make a humongous effort into putting their employees and their employees' benefits first. What the biggest chunk of employee benefits still happens to be the compensation part. And what also happened in the whole boomerang effect was employees realized that, whether I work for this company or another company, बैठ के मुझे तो अपने ही घर से काम करना है. Like I have actually had people tell like that as a justification for why they switch jobs.
Absolutely.
Telling they'll also give me water bottle, they'll also give me water bottle. It's not true. Someone nurtured your career for 5 years, took care of you for a very long time. So just because you have loosened the bonds of actually being a part of a team in an ecosystem called your office, practicing a similar office culture, what it did was loosen the bonds quite a bit. And to compensate for that, organizations pushed in way too much money in the name of benefits. Now, honestly speaking, because this is a larger conversation we have with a lot of our clients, how are employee benefits being restructured now in first the post-COVID environment, and second thing in the backdrop of such a recessionary environment where it is important to, ideally, if I could let go of a few benefits and retain a few employees, then that's the bargain an organization would want to make. So what is the current situation, Shantanu?
So I truly feel that, while benefits are still an integral part of every single company, and like you mentioned, the employees have an option and opportunity to choose between multiple companies. Like even if there is a sense of uncertainty in terms of the layoffs, we as an employee, I still have an opportunity apart from compensation to choose from multiple other benefits that a company is going to offer, right? So when it comes to the true benefits that I would require as an individual, as opposed to something that I might not require, that still remains the crux of a decision being taken, right? Now, after crypto, I came from an industry, after crypto, I was in the edtech industry, right? So I was equally facing a lot of heat in terms of layoffs and in terms of, things being heard and said here and there, with companies being shut down, like you mentioned, overnight. And that kind of gave us a sense of also understanding of how we would want to prepare ourselves, right? But then again, the main agenda still remains that if it is very, very important, it will see healthcare. Like if you take the example of healthcare, or if you take an example of insurance, right? That was even before the pandemic. That was a part of your employee benefit before the pandemic, during recessions, and it still continues to be a part of your system today, right? We have employees who come to ask us, is it only for an employee? Do we have spouses included? Do you have for parents and all of that? So it again depends on a company and depends on what you want to offer. But I think there would not be a major change in terms of compensation, in terms of employee benefits that a company is offering right now.
Great. So from your spectrum, I would like to go to the other end of the spectrum, which, companies usually born and raised in the height of pandemic new age companies are the kings of, offering high salaries. So Ashish, I will bring this towards you. Has there
Sure.
been a normalization or a rationalization of the entire talent bringing in process, primarily because whether it is the benefits, whether it is joining bonus, because we wanted people to be in our offices in 10 days, if possible
Fair,
tomorrow, because I
fair,
have a
fair.
project deadline or my product, I have to make it market go live ready. So because of all those pressures, we were willing to give joining bonuses and then completion of 1 year bonus and then 3x
Fair.
of existing CTC. And then of course our benefits, like, whether it is a remote workstation or a ton of benefits that we were willing to give,
So
they have been
would love
applied in a lot
to.
of organizations. So I would like to understand from you.
Sure, sure. So I think before we jump on to what we did and what we did not do, one thing I want to be like brutally honest is we haven't given anyone a joining bonus since the day I've joined Juno. We've literally eliminated joining bonus from the compensation, and we've never seen people not joining until the time I was the only recruiter. Our offer to joining was 90%, which I can tell you is the best in the industry. Like if I roll out 10 offers, I'm pretty sure 9 are gonna join them. And that's the accuracy we had. And but yeah, jumping on to benefits and what all things changed, right? I think pandemic taught us that having a great health insurance for you and your loved ones is like one of the most critical aspects in terms of decision making, right? Last thing people would want is they earn money and then they'll end up spending on their expenses, medical expenses. But by science and by God's grace, we've come out of pandemic. But the benchmark set during that particular timeline has been set. Now people want good health insurance, even if they don't use it. By like everyone that I know of would never want to use a medical insurance. They want to stay fit, but still it's like a mental, piece that they probably get when they get a good, insurance with themselves. So we've basically stopped calling it a benefit and perk altogether. First thing is that we've just normalized it, and we don't call it or call it a perk or basically sell too much around it, because I feel it's every company who's doing their best in terms of providing these health insurances. Some have some super high top ups available, and I think now that you people along with other players have literally transformed the industry in the last 3 years, which was so primitive maybe 3 years back. uh, but what all things did we change is that we realized that one size doesn't fit all. So, like every other company, we had some allocated budget, say 10K for workstation, some 10K for fitness, 15, 20K for learning, and all things, all jazz that we could probably put on CTC, right? But what we realized is people are not claiming it 100%, right? And we come from a place where we want people to use 100% of it. Like literally, we know for the fact that. Uh, I mean, there's a lot more money flowing in the ecosystem since ages. There's always someone who's going to pay you more, but there are very limited companies in the ecosystem who genuinely think of employees and think of them as a long term picture where they are open to give them all the things that they can give. So what we did was we changed our benefit structure to making it a flexible benefit, where instead of just going ahead and spending the brackets that they were allocated, they can bump up the brackets to up to full limit. So for instance, say someone, the Gen Zs have a very high fetish of getting a 50K standing table, which is like up and down, and they're like so fancied about it. And these tables cost around 40-50K. One fine day, they just told that we don't even go to gym. We don't want learning benefit. Why should we even consider this as a benefit for ourselves? That made us realize, okay, there are certain set of people who like to travel or just explore the world, so they can just use this benefit there. There are some people who want to probably just keep it to fitness. Let's probably open the gates. Let's probably merge all the things. So now instead of giving them these brackets of 10, 15, 20K, what we've done is we just opened it for them, which is around 40 for 50K, I guess. That enables people to spend on whatever they want. We've reimbursed a Paris ticket to an employee, and we've also reimbursed a 40K table for someone as well. So we've opened that as well over the last few months. One interesting thing that we realized is no one likes to stay away from office. There is a lot of relocation bonus for people who are coming outside of the Bangalore city, right? But they have a very limited amount of people or companies who are thinking of intercity or just getting them from say Whitefield to HSR, right? We've just introduced that as well in the relocation setup where we've just made sure that the budget is being utilized well for these people and they actually feel that it's value for them. Because I think compensation is the sense of bringing this flexibility is not that we can pay or we can cover, but it's that the sentiment that we want to probably keep here, that we are thinking of what you want, we are going to take care of it, just give us some time, we'll work around it. And that's exactly what we did. A lot of people just gave us feedback, so we again connected and corrected what Abhinav mentioned, that the hearing is the first part, working on it was a primary thing, and that's one thing that changed. Now our flexible benefits is almost 100%. At the start of the year, it's 100% already. Like, it's been what, February 21st, and we've seen 100% claims already. So I think a lot of companies are trying to cut that cost. We realize it doesn't save too much money, even if you probably just go around doing some chindigiri around here and there. Compensation wise, again, we've never been an organization where we've splurged on too much salaries. We've always been with the mindset of keeping the mark up, and then working around it. So that's been a very so again, it's not limited. So we've seen people move out because of that, but we've always happily helped them out move as well. So for one instance, if someone wants to move out of Juno, they will reach out to me first before they look outside. So that's the relationship we've built. That's the kind of openness that we've given them. And you do not have to search job yourself. We are here to help you out. So giving that benefit of just comfort and just convenience to someone working at your organization is a massive mode to have, in my opinion. So that has been certain tweaks around in these markets to ensure that we are giving them the value and helping them out with small things that really matter to them.
I think
Thanks,
I
Ashish.
completely agree to what Ashish is saying. We also, in terms of benefits, we had a limited budget towards our learning and development. And then we had a lot of people who said that, I don't want to take up a course. I do not want to study. I'd rather go to the gym. So then why just limit it to that particular extent, right? Like Ashish mentioned about what about the people who are traveling within the city instead of relocation, right? When we had a conversation with them, we cannot see, it's Bangalore. You cannot save on time, right? You arrange for a cab, you arrange for a public transport, you arrange for your own car. The time taken is going to be the same, right? So then you solve for trying to make it easier by compensating for their fuel, or to somehow allow for those work from home flexibility on a couple of days. And right, like how Abhinav and Ashish and both said, I think hearing what they actually want, trying to connect with them, getting that sense of feeling and understanding is extremely important. Rather than actually going out there and giving some benefit, but working upon it is very, very important.
Yeah, and just
This
to
is
add
all
to
very
what,
good to hear.
yeah,
This is all very good to hear. Abhinav, I actually have a very different question to ask
sure.
of you. In fact, from what Ashish and Shantanu are talking about, I'm actually happy about the evolving landscape of benefits itself. I'm sure a lot of the panelists who are attending for the information of our panelists also, 90% of the people who are attending the panel at the moment are HR professionals. So your conversation actually makes more context to them. And because this immediately goes on YouTube in a couple of days, the shorter version of it with some of the best findings and the entire longer video once the team has managed to
Sure.
compress it.
I hope I look good. I hope I look good.
So, that is one thing. So to everyone who is attending, who has been here before, you are aware of this. We will be taking, we will be answering your questions post 4:50, which is in another 20 minutes. So I would request you to start submitting your questions in the Q&A section while we have a conversation. If any question is pertaining, like right now, Ashish and Shantanu were actually talking about, creating that basket of benefits and specifically, creating, letting go of the idea of a specific L&D budget or a specific budget for just travel or, house rent or whatever, instead of that to actually open it and make it a flexible basket, how to actually make it, how to evolve, how it is evolving. In fact, I have questions about the same thing. So whoever has questions, I would request you to leave your questions there. We will pick it up at 4:50. Okay, thank you very much. Abhinav, considering what Shantanu and Aashish just spoke about, I think the question then becomes, one thing it is making me incredibly happy, which means we are still having to open our doors to new employees because we require talent. At the same time, when so much workforce is being let go and layoffs are a common thing, hiring is a continuing process. So do you believe that the noise that is concerning the workplace changes is currently disproportionately louder?
I think largely it is not going to affect any of the hiring parameters or standards which are currently being envisaged at the start of the year. So, whatever targets have been set or whatever expansion plans have been, internally frozen, I don't think it's going to affect because, we work on a model where we are largely dependent on a certain fixed hiring parameter. So from our standards, from an IT consulting standards, whatever clients we have or whatever commitments we have made or whatever scores we have been mandated to close at the start of the year would largely remain on track, and I don't see any of the deviations. A few of the projects may get delayed looking at some of the inception points, but largely if you ask me about the momentum or some of the counts being desized, no, I don't see that happening because the pace has been set, and as I said, the pattern has changed. The mindset sides have changed, and I don't see any challenge in the hiring proposition being taking on to the next level now. And as I said, it's getting back to normal day by day. So one way where you know um, uh, great people like Ashish are opening up their bouquet of benefits. So I think that's a good way to attract talent. But I just wanted to add that that is one perspective, but the other perspective is also, Swami will agree that post the pandemic, there is a lot of impetus or a lot of focus on the saving or the settlement factor also. So I get a lot of query where people have started asking me questions about how do we save, what is gratuity, how do you invest in PF, what are the different saving mechanisms. So so the point I'm trying to say that there is a settlement phenomena which is slowly creeping in, correct? And people want to take it slow. People want to be jumping onto the bandwagon. So looking at that paradigm reversal, I'll say from our standards, from an IT consulting organization, no, I don't think I'm actually foreseeing a hiring degrowth there, and we are very much on track to expand. In fact, a couple of months back we opened our offshore center in Vietnam, and a couple of more centers are likely to be in proposition. So to answer your question, no, I don't think it's going to affect largely, at least in our circle of accounts.
Perfect. Thanks, Abhinav. Would you like to add to it, Ashish?
So I think it's something very relevant to me very very recently. So I mean, companies that are hiring are hiring. Let me be like very brutally honest there. We had almost finalized someone. We were gonna probably pay that person around 15 lakhs. Person was around less than 2 years of experience, had like 7-8 lakhs in his existing one. We were like, okay, first shift hai, 15 lakhs le lo. But we could not, offer because of turning market conditions. Like just FYI, folks, I am a part of a small community called the Talent Deck. I just landed up pushing there. There's a good backend dev in the market, uh, very good with certain skills, etc. etc. There were around 10 to 12 people who reached out to me कि भाई हम hire कर रहे हैं. I ended up connecting this individual within the next half an hour, and 1 week down the line, this person cracked a roll of around 20-25 lakhs. Now you just mentioned, right? I mean, someone who is getting paid 4-5 lakhs. In this case, this person was 7 lakhs, and this person was hired by a company that laid off almost 7% of their manpower in that particular week itself. So surprisingly, there is 7% layoff happening, and then there is this person being hired. So I think companies that want to hire will probably hire. I feel there's no Disneyland out there like it was a year back, where you were seeing so many offers, so many aspirational offers being rolled out. But I think there are companies who realized, okay, we need growth, and growth is only driven by having high density pool of talent. And there hasn't been a better time to hire. I mean, if you're hiring, uh, I mean, this is what I call Disneyland, a recruiter's paradise. So many good people out there in the market, very less competition. So companies who have that hiring need or forecast, I think this is the time to basically go all in. So yeah, I mean, there are companies hiring, but very limited of them. Like if you say maybe a year back there were 50 companies hiring at that scale, now there are only 15 to 20 of them hiring at that level. So that has been the learning over the last 1 month that I was doing this. So just realize that there is a market out there even for companies that are laying off. They are like literally hiring in the same week itself. So not gonna be surprised over hiring going more in the next few weeks.
Perfect. I have a small note. I'm being made aware by my team that there are people submitting their questions on the chat. The chat is normally an open place for the panelists to have a conversation for us to move things around. I would appreciate if whoever, because we don't want to lose out on your conversation. So whoever has just submitted their questions only on chat, please submit them on the Q&A forum, please. Thank you. Okay, that brings me to probably my most critical question, which I have been looking forward to ask today. On the one side, we are telling, of course, we are going to continue hiring. There are organizations who are laying off and hiring at the same time. But parallelly, almost every HR head, or even me being from the business end of the spectrum itself, even I would say that great talent is scarce. We all want, I might as well fire 5 people and hire the one person who could do, because it can be done, because I have similar talent folks. So whether it is in customer success, whether it is in operations, whether it is in sales per se, you find the one person, versus, bringing in an average of 5 or 6 people, then your life gets better. So technically speaking, the right talent is scarce. So then the organization's focus in a situation like this larger shifts to me then figuring out a strategy to preserve my best talent. I don't want to let them go. Of course, I'm in the search for new talent. Of course, I'm in the process of optimization of my workforce, which is why I'm letting go of a lot of people, either who are not performing, or earlier I could have them afford to have, an average performer on my book. Today does not make monetary sense for me. So I'm letting people go. So in that particular context, the fact that real talent is scarce, should business be prioritizing the retention of existing employees over employing newer employees until the tide changes direction? I think, Shantanu, I will start this question with you, please.
Talent is definitely scarce, and I was reading somewhere that in India we have an average of 80% of the companies saying that stating that that talent is scarce, and real estate being the topmost industry that is hit. In my opinion, in with terms to hiring the right talent or retaining of your employees, I think retention is something that I would put my focus on, because people who have been in the business know the business better, are able to help out in certain aspects to at a faster pace, as opposed to you will definitely require fresh talent to join into an organization to get a different mindset different experience of how their thinking has been, how their experience has been, and incorporating that. But I would always give a very limited portion to that area, and focus more on retaining the talent, right? Because giving an opportunity to people who are within the organization, who have been with you, or who have shown that kind of progress, that they can scale things to another level. Um, and if you get a new individual in their place, a level above, or during that in the same space, there kind of creates an uncertainty in their minds. Things start playing, and this has happened in the past, saying that why have we not got that opportunity? Why was there a need of a new person coming in? We've been with the company longer, we know the inside out of that. Which is why I feel that if a company has to grow multifold, and I would definitely bank upon retaining the existing talent.
Abhinav, I would like your insights on this, please.
Yeah, no, I think what Shantanu said is correct. One way I'll probably, often pondered about my own mantra of 2 E's. When you talk about getting your in-house talent protected. So it's for me. I mean, I've always worked on relationships, correct? So I always tell that probably I'm a little old school of thought, but that's how it has worked for me over years, Soumya, because that's why I do have a lot of personal connects with them. It's very important uh, to have customized. I mean, I don't know whether it's possible in a large formatted organization, but since we are still evolving, and I do have time or bandwidth to connect with them on a one-to-one basis. So I think that eases, and as Ashish said, you need somebody to be there to vent your grievances out. So one is obviously you need people to be there around with you, and with that sense of achievement or satisfaction or stability to be creeping in at all the times, it's not easy. So constant conversation will obviously make you settle down. uh, Empathy is very important for me. It's very easy to blame somebody, correct? But if you want your tenured people to stick around, if you want them to act like coaches, or it's always heard, you want your people to be good coaches. It's not easy. It's easier said than done. They can't become overnight coaches or mentors, correct? So you know to inculcate that sense of empathetic behavior into that. And for that, you need to demonstrate that yourself. I mean, putting yourself into some other shoes and then trying to dictate terms, it's going to take a lot of understanding. So I think empathetic behavior is second, and third is obviously empowerment. I think one of the things we often said that we all have that grudge to hold on the past to ourselves, but I know you do establish a sense of connect and trust building, where you start empowering your colleagues and empowering them to take decisions. And then whether it's a decision uh, for some lean phenomena, or it is a customer issue, or it's a decision to be based on some financial aspect, give them some little empowerment. And yes, I think this year, as we will be seeing a constant amount of hiring spree, but yes, the right amount of investment onto your tenured or onto your colleagues who are already there in the organization is definitely going to be a game changer. But I see more and more people who are willing to be part of that journey is what at Transform Hub we're looking at. So in fact, we are very particular about the kind of people we hire. So somebody at 2 years expecting a 20 lakhs is not going to survive. I mean, not that we cannot pay, but we can pay. But it's all about sustainment also, because we have we are more towards increasing an investment from a long-term perspective. So all those people who are definitely there to be a part of the system ecosystem, as Ashish say, for a longer version, we are there. And I could see that paradigm shift. I do a lot of conversations daily. So people who are there, who are looking for customized roadmaps in terms of progression, who are looking for a lot of investment on wellness, who are looking for a lot of investment. I say this year is going to be a year for upskilling and reskilling, Soumya. Trust me, we are seeing a lot of people coming back to their original genres. So I see, yes, there is, it has to be a win-win situation from both sides. So yes, I see a lot of investment going from organization towards ensuring there's a platform where people are settled, and they are felt and they're part of the inclusive environment. But it's also from the other side, we'll see a lot of employees willing to be part of an organization which is more towards these factors. Soumya, yeah.
Fantastic. Ashish, I would like your input about
Yeah,
this exact point.
I totally feel replacing someone is a negative sum game. Someone who has context of the product or business is of course way more valuable than someone who will start tomorrow. Because most of the hires that we will ever make, right, they will always be minus 2 to 4 months away from actually delivering that impact or value that is required, right? Profitable or no, in general, retaining high performing talent is a moat in any market, in my personal opinion. And working towards it should be the primary goal of HR team, regardless of the market conditions. But at the same time, retaining should be based on on merit and not on tenuity is my personal opinion. So probably need to figure out the right balance there. We've seen that happening. If someone has put in effort, has been in the organization for say 3-4 years or more, they tend to get a little more comfortable. So probably need that fire within them to ensure that the folks who will join eventually should have the right precedence in the first place. So that's my 2 cents, on what I think about retaining the talent. Like, very strong opinion. We do not have anyone leaving Juno in less than 2.5 years, until unless we don't want them to move out. So if we want them to be retained, we will do everything and anything it takes to ensure that they stay, right? So that should be the spirit of not just the HR team, but in general the leaders and then the founders. From head to toe, they should be feeling that fire that we need to retain as many as people we can, regardless of how the market conditions are again.
Fantastic. Aashish, I think, I hardly do this, but I think people have already started asking questions that we had planned to ask in our conversation. So I'll directly start skipping to the questions. This is we already have 9 questions waiting. For whoever is, yet to submit their questions, please do submit their questions. Shantanu, I will come to you first, but because I think the team is parallelly identifying and telling which question might be relevant for whom. Sonu, I'm sorry you have not left your name of your organization, is asking, now that organizations have a mix of work from home and work from office workforce, in such a scenario, how can managers spot great performers amongst their employees, and what are the challenges of it? Shantanu, unfortunately, you're on mute.
Yes, apologies. Thanks, Sonu, for that question. It's as a people person and as a leader, it's fairly simple to identify who's a top performer, or who does the actual work. While we can have all these complexes, policies, performance management systems in place, through your eyes, you are able to figure out who is actually going to be a top performer or not. For me personally, it would be someone who takes the ownership to do things. And now when I say ownership, it means like the end-to-end, responsibility, right? Like for example, if I have to mention that, there'll be a lot of stakeholders involved in a particular project, but if I have reached out to someone, they would give me the concrete answer of what is pending with whom and how do I get that, solve that. So something that I learned personally from my co-founders at Quest in my previous organization was that when you have a problem, when you have an issue, when you're stuck somewhere, you obviously highlight that. But when you go and highlight it saying that, hey, I have this problem, I am stuck here, come with 2 to 3 possible solutions for that, right? So it makes a decision-making process easier. It shows that you are committed and you want to learn more of how you want to perform things. And I think that solves most of your issues, right? That shows that you're involved in not only, because very easy for me to go to, if Ashish is my manager, I'd be like, yeah, Ashish, ye policy, I'm stuck here, I don't know how to do this, right? But if I go to Ashish saying that, hey, I'm stuck with this particular policy, this is what I understand about it, these are what suggestions I have, what are your thoughts, let's sit and work together. This shows a complete different dynamic of how things can be worked out. And people who have that kind of sense in working, I think those would ideally be your top performers. And like Ashish said, these would fall in the forefront of having to retain back in your company as well.
Fantastic. Thanks, Shantanu.
In addition, Sonu, I would recommend you to be in office. I mean, we all are humans and we have relevancy bias. Even if you're the topmost performer of the team and you are working out of home, your manager will always land up seeing people who are in office, sitting next to him or her. So I know it might be a massive lifestyle change if you're going from work from home to office, but if there's an option that you can choose, pick work from office. Maybe it's not required to be in office all the 5 days or 6 days a week, but try and be there where the action is happening. I think in that particular pace, very realistically speaking, you will get a lot more visibility compared to someone who's working out of like home, just FYI. And I'm pretty sure some people will have a very different opinion of it. But in general, you can either be a full-fledged remote company where no one is in office, or you will end up being an in-office company eventually, because people who are working remotely will feel that lack of visibility, lack of recognition over the long period of time. So that's my 2 cents on like how to spot great performers. I think Shantanu shared, Abhinav might have few things to share, but this is my 2 cents on working out of office and home is a massive differentiator for someone who is working out of office.
No, absolutely,
I
Ashish.
completely
Sorry.
agree with
Uh,
you.
just one point.
Abhinav,
Yeah.
if I may cut in,
Yeah,
I
yeah, sure.
have a ton of questions, and there's one question which I
Go
think
ahead.
is particularly addressed to you. The problem is now they've started writing, this is for Ashish, this is for Abhinav. So
Go
Abhinav,
ahead.
Shweta, who's working in a consulting firm, says, my question is, as we know, layoffs are going on, but what about people who are still in the organization but are not sure about their job security, because laying off without notice is making them mentally disturbed and emotionally. I think she's run out of character way. So she's actually asked a follow-up question telling what are the different ways in which to make them feel more connected and secure.
Correct. No, I think a very valid point, Shweta, that there has to be a constant reiteration of the culture which the organization has developed over the years, and that will give a lot of settlement to the existing employees. So I strongly believe, I mean, there is always a lot of work which HR can do, but if it is a top-down approach, I think the sense of acceptance or the sense of sense of security trickles down faster. So we at Transform Hub, we have a plethora of ways. I mean, obviously, apart from the formal connects or the informal connects, which are the regular phenomena, which I personally drive, we also have various forums where we constantly ensure that the message is trickled down from top to bottom. So when you have your top bosses or your founders giving that message in a subtle way, and when obviously they show that the BAU projects are running spick and fine, these are the expansion plans happening, these are the counts which we are emphasizing, these are the new client, these are the customer accolades, etc., then the sense of belongingness or the sense of stability for a larger association starts creeping in, and there's where you can mitigate your people thinking in a negative way that what happens if we are the chosen one. So no, it doesn't happen all the way. I mean, different organizations have different roadmaps to craft it, but I said, and I think Ashish only said that the constant redo of communication is the key mantra, because the more you communicate and disallow people to operate in shambles or alone, is going to make a larger impact. And as Ashish also said, that try and be in office, because the more it's not about creating your own or you're trying to please anybody. It's for your own, you're good, it's for your own good. Correct. You're going to observe a lot of behaviors, and over the years, whatever probably I and Ashish have learned is through observation. So one is that aspect, and the other is the communication part, where there is a constant inflow of communication happening from across. So it's not only the prerogative of HR, but also the line managers or whoever your peers, etc. As far as you're connected both ways, then I see a lot of the concerns being addressed that way. So yeah.
I'm sure. I'm sure. I think even in, whether we have friendships in school or college, somebody ghosting you, or, the silence is what actually creates elevates the noise
Absolutely.
in your head. So I think as long
Absolutely.
as there's a genuine effort from a top-down approach or from a bottom-up approach to embrace the employee holistically, I think they have a sense of security after that.
Precisely, that's my point.
Ashish, I am coming to you because the question is addressed directly to you. And I think this has got to be the shortest question ever. It says, Ashish, basket of 40K includes, question mark.
So I think it includes, I think most of the things leaving alcohol or any sort of intoxication. So as long as you're not getting drunk on company's money, as long as company is not paying for it in our offsites or all ends, we would cover it. For instance, we've covered someone who's relocating to Bangalore. We had relocation bonus of 50K, but still, when you're relocating from one city to other, you use all the money that you can. So just to give you a lot more context, we covered the matches as well, right? Because that makes the person happy, right? So again, as long as anything is illegal or intoxicating or something that should not be covered by a company, at least in benefits, we try and avoid, like we don't add that. But say something like mattress, we've seen someone putting. I saw someone's bill last month of a washing machine. So won't be surprised. We cover whatever we can just to help them out with whatever they want to probably use it for. But most of the people, like in general, everyone has been using it for travel, which could be say flight tickets or their stays. There are people using it for workstations. People don't like IKEA tables of 4 5K. They want a 40K standing desk or whatnot. They're spending on it. There are people who are getting their own displays at home. So we have displays at office, but then there are some people who work out of home once or twice a week. They want a personal display at home. Got them that as well. So we cover whatever they want as long as it's something genuinely like intoxicating or liquor or cigarettes or other alternatives. So we try and cover all the good things which actually fall in benefits bracket. So,
Makes complete sense. And I completely am okay with the idea of a bed because amongst all the benefits that we offer in Pascare also, we have a lot of sessions, health sessions that happen online or even in company spaces. One of our unicorn customers, specifically who has actually rolled back all their employees to the office space, specifically asked us to do because their employees' number one concern, because we also offer a mental wellness, calling solution. And a lot of employees were calling up telling they were not able to sleep. Like falling asleep, like going to bed, but falling asleep is not happening. Sub try kar liya, phone alag room mein rakh liya, gone to bed 1 hour early, turned off all the lights, but they're not able to sleep because their brain is hyperactive. I did not stay long enough for the session, but I think one sentence I heard I will forever take away with me. We spend 1/3 of our lives in bed. So you better make quality investment on the place you will rest for 1/3 of your life. We spend a lot of money on the cars we drive for, they say take a whole week. You probably are driving for, less than 2% of
this
the
this
entire
is
number of
this is
hours,
clearly
1/3 of
treasure
our
for
life.
me because I just bought an apartment few months back and now I know where to invest my money.
They're like,
I was gonna
he
save
actually
up some
told
money.
it's absolutely okay. Don't invest in a great car because that's just to take you here and there. You sleep 1/3 of your life in a bed, invest in a quality mattress. It will change your, it will take care of you. And that immediately changes, we all spend money. We all have, bas bahar jao 10 reasons will jayenge spend karne ke liye. Actually sit at home, open your phone, you'll find reasons to spend. And that makes sense. A fulfilling night's sleep, which immediately helps your, spine align itself and, you feel rested, has proportionate benefits because apparently your spine alignment starts shifting at the age of 30 onwards. After that, you need a chiropractor or a proper mattress to actually keep your spinal alignment, which is the reason by the time we're 50, we will all start screaming about back pains then. So I think I think forever I will remember that. We spend 1/3 of our life in bed, so we need to invest in a quality mattress. I think I will do the justice of the people who have taken time to. Nirmal says thank you to Aashish. Because there are people who have actually submitted questions. I will actually quickly run through the rest of the questions. Shantanu, there is, unfortunately, they haven't left their name. They have asked, if you had the option to magically do away with one problem you face during hiring, what would that problem be?
I think I would, if I had to remove one thing, one problem I would try to reduce topmost is reduction of the time taken to close on a candidate. And we've seen that there's a lot of, because of that, we tend to lose out on a lot of candidates, given that there's a competitive market where when, a candidate is probably applying to 5 to 6 other places, especially in a startup space where you're working very closely with your founders, getting their time and, scheduling their interview with the candidate. It does take a lot of time. So the time taken to reduce a closure of a candidate should definitely be something that I would want to magically remove. And another personal level is the assignments and the pre-work that usually we tend to give out to candidates. I personally do not like it. If I ever have to receive one, that is something that, although I would do it, but that
You
would
should
always
convey
not.
that to the hiring managers or the tech managers. Huh?
I agree. But then that is something that I would definitely want to remove as well.
Sure. Yeah.
Do my other panelists agree, or is there anything else in the hiring process that you would magically want to do away with?
No, I think Shantanu's, whatever he said is absolutely available and it's open in the market, that the number of rounds we all expect a candidate to go through is probably has to be relooked in this year, because with the numbers and the hiring counts being so high, it obviously gives the experience factor comes into proposition. So yes, at Transformer we have kept it a little simple as of now. It's working for us. A quick connect, and then followed by a technical hacker rank, and then straight away to the final round. So we've tried and minimize the number of round, but the lesser the better. So
Okay. Beba Parida, Neha Tyagi, and two anonymous attendees have all submitted questions along the similar line. They say that considering the looming recession and the current environment we're in, are employee benefits still going to remain a top priority? I think I will take the benefit of being on the side of an employee benefit provider and actually answer this question. From my long body of work, it has been a consistent and evolving theme that benefits are can be segregated into buckets. There are the essential. It's like the cycle and the bells and the whistles. The cycle will always need to be there, because that takes you from point to point B. And not only does it take you from point A to point B, it also gives you a sense of ease and security. Let's take insurance, for instance. What is the point in us worrying about, from a financial perspective? You will always have a better shot, because your upway of making money is endless. Like, you can make any amount of money versus the entire constant focus on saving. So what you actually need to do is actually create situations to actually ensure that security happens. Insurance allows you to protect your family's wealth, literally. I cannot take care of their health. They will end up in the hospital because of whatever reason. We can actually at least protect your wealth by providing you insurance. And what else does insurance do? Of course, you can always have a piece of paper and not have cashless. Your companies actually pay for 3.5% extra in their insurance premium just to ensure that cashless is provided. Why? Because we don't want anyone to make an upward investment of 3 lakhs or 5 lakhs or how much ever. That is a benefit, whether it is your banking, whether it is your HRMS, your joining kits that are coming to you. The organizations will now take a call as to whether the benefit that is being provided, of course, fun Saturdays, team outings. If just think about it, if an organization spends 25 lakh rupees for one team outing on a weekend, versus that in your own team, you can have 2 of your colleagues retained. What would you want? Would you want that one weekend where you just had fun, or would you want to continue holding on to a resource or to your colleague with whom you enjoy working, and who's your partner, and actually being able to deliver your end goals? So I think that is the conversation companies are having. And considering this is our 8th or 9th webinar, and we started this webinar in the height of the first crash in July. If everybody knows, the markets completely crashed. They've actually bottomed out all the way to 15,000 on the Nifty. So during that time, we realized there was so much chaos in the market, and the first wave of layoffs happened. That is when we actually started this initiative of talking to thought leaders. And we primarily realized that HR heads are the people who make a call as to how to fire, and not just that, how to keep their own workforce motivated. There are larger questions at play. They're rethinking. During COVID years, they actually brought in COVID policies to be able to take care of COVID. They were praying even for their employees' vaccination. Why will they still now continue compensating for vaccination? It's not an employee benefit that they need to prioritize. Everybody is vaccinated. So is that a benefit that they need to continue paying premium for to still hold on to them? No, it is not priority. They can actually ensure that they can hold on to a couple of your colleagues in that kind of a thing. So every benefit is evaluated from that point of view, not from a pure play, investment point of view. It's not like, companies indicate is the paise nahi kharch kar rahe. No, they're prioritizing probably retaining a couple of your colleagues. Or maybe they're prioritizing whether a workforce workstation needs to be retained, whether your office rents have to be paid. So there are a lot of things at play. And from my point of view, if you just look at the inflation numbers, you will see why that battle is a very real thing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that is the context about it. And that is the reason I thought I'm probably the right person to answer that question. I have had great fun. Abhinav, Shantanu, and Aashish, more than anything else, I would like to say thank you for taking your time on what I'm sure is a busy Tuesday afternoon, and giving us so much context. For all who are still here, the entire conversation, probably in a month's time, once it is compressed, will be made available on YouTube. The shorter version of it with just insights will also be available on YouTube and will be made available on LinkedIn based on the limit capacity. I had a great conversation. Thank you so very much, my panelists. It's all over to you.